Benvenuto al secondo episodio. We have our reigning champion, Augustus Gloop 9, with Harrison Hoffman at the helm, and the other guy. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump in. So we've had our first real touch of COVID-19 having affected all of the games, or I shouldn't say all the games, all of our games just about. So what do you guys think? Is this something that we need to start talking about how to work around, or we just play it like injuries? Hoffman, you as reigning champ, you get to go first all evening long.
Oh, man. Nice. Wow. Other guy.
Simmer down. I think we should treat it just like the NFL. I don't think we should make any kind of special sub-ins. I think we'll know before the games kick off if there's something going on. And I think we just need to make our own roster moves. The NFL can't complain. I mean, you look at the Patriots the other night, they had to roll with it. It is what it is. I think it will get very confusing and complicated if we're trying to say, oh, I'm going to sub this guy in since the game's postponed. Just we need to check our rosters in advance and know what's going on with their teams and hope that we have enough depth to withstand COVID.
Yeah, solid. So just like an injury, right? Okay. All right, cool. So Billy, what do you say?
I will have a counterpoint to that. I think since our 8-team league is not desirable by anyone, I don't think we would rather have a little larger league. We get annoyed with these like 100+ point bench scores each week. So I'm trying to think of ways to like turn that into a positive. Like this week I was happy because with Eckler going down, that's a blow. But having like Kareem Hunt sitting there on my bench that I never have put in the starting lineup, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I was thinking what we could do is have like a designated running back and wide receiver for each team that we put on WhatsApp or text you, Adam, and we, like ones that we probably won't be dropping because they're like so close to being starting, but we're not starting them. But that kind of forces us to keep them on the bench. If something were to come up, then we wouldn't get. And then other than like trades or injuries or bye weeks, like you can't change who that person is. Like you've chosen them. But then for like things that we might not have spares of on the bench, like defenses or kickers, Matthew Berry had an interesting selection or suggestion to use projected point totals.
Okay, you put some serious thought into this. There's a lot of rules and a lot of suggestions. So that's interesting. Let me ask you this: what's the difference between a guy who gets scratched because his pregame warm-up wasn't quite up to what the coach or the doctor wanted, and you have to wait until 9:50 right before the 10 o'clock game, or like 12:50 right before the 1 o'clock game to know if that guy's playing or not? We do that every week, every year. How is that different? How is this COVID situation different? It's all.
Can I go first that way? Because I knew that would be the argument to that. But with COVID, the difference is you don't have a questionable tag all week, or you're not showing up on the injury report. With COVID, if somebody has a positive test Sunday morning,
but they're not testing them. Well, has that happened yet? Sunday morning, it's generally been a few days in advance. Where
and if it's a few days in advance, then you don't go through these like special circumstances. But I'm telling you, if you have a time when at 9:50
test on a Sunday morning is no different than a pulled hammy on the sidelines warming up Sunday morning.
Well, exactly, but that very rarely happens. But they test every Sunday morning before the games. So every day. The odds of having a positive COVID test Sunday morning is, in my opinion, higher than having a pulled hammy.
I think the closer we can mirror the NFL, the better. It's simpler. It's just kind of even ground. We don't know it's one way or the next. To have Adam be like a sweaty bookie tracking all these potentials is insane to me.
Well, he doesn't have to track. I mean, if it happens, then he could change it up until the end of the week.
Yeah, but you can't have a fixed player because matchup specific. I mean, I don't know who. I can't just blindly deem like, oh, Will Fuller is always my backup wide receiver. It's going to be matchup dependent. And
but that's the thing. You're not choosing your optimal, but it's better than nothing. So maybe you choose a guy that is your highest rated wide receiver most weeks, but then that week they're playing, a really good defense, and it's like, ooh, he's projected for 2 points less. But I'm not saying to get into that far into the weeds, but to at least have a potential point total instead of a big fat zero there is just a nice option. But
we are definitely into the weeds, that's for sure. There's not going to be a healthy scratch 5 minutes before the game starts because of COVID. Because frankly, if somebody tests positive on one of those teams, likely that's going to affect the entire game, right? Because then they do the whole, who's in close contact, whatever. So I think we might be going down this path of what if, and we're talking about maybe not real likely scenarios. But that's interesting. I'm sure this will not be the last time we talk about.
If I may, I'll offer a free tip for anyone out there in the league that's not doing this, but there is an app called SleeperBot that is very quickly up to date. You will get pings on your phone about any ins, outs the minute they know about it. So if you don't have SleeperBot on your phone and you play fantasy football, install it.
All right. Well, let's keep talking about the situation with COVID. Hopefully we get the full season, right? They manage these things, one game here and there, but if something were to happen and they shut the season down before week 16 happens, right? Before the end of our fantasy season, how do we handle that? Or should we handle that? Hoffman, go ahead.
I'm a big fan of the show Survivor. So I think it could be neat if when that happened, if we had a clear top 3 teams based on whether it's record, hopefully record, the top 3, the league gets to vote. The top 3 get to pitch their case, why they felt that their draft, their roster moves, their trades, their set decisions, why they deserve to be the winner. We could do it on a Zoom call, and then the remainder of the league gets to vote on who they think should be the winner.
That is interesting. That's kind of a neat idea. What are you thinking, Billy?
Yeah, I like that. If things are close.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's like one undefeated team left, then I think it's pretty clear. Like if there's a front runner at the time things get shut down, then I think might as well let that person be the champion. And I think it is kind of fun to at least have something. We put a lot of time in the draft, and it's fun in its own right. But I'm feeling like with 2020, we got to kind of like steer into the skid, so like make light of it, instead of the Pilsner glass, get like a shot glass for the champion, or like a shirt says like champ, but then a huge asterisk, right at the corner of it, just to make it something at least, and then hopefully something we can laugh about someday. But yeah, I like that idea. If it's like really bunched up and you have like maybe people tied with the same record. I don't love going to the points scored or
you wouldn't.
I wouldn't, no.
No, I'm saying you wouldn't, because you're in the bottom half of points for, and you actually have the fewest points scored against you.
Well, so I think what you're bringing up, Adam, is a good point. Is going based on record is kind of going on points scored too, because sometimes things just fall your way. I think it's got to be if we're going to be where the season's over, I think the league needs to look at who they view as the best manager.
So not to hijack the question.
You can't play Keith or some other teams early on.
But what's more impressive, somebody that goes like undefeated or like one loss during the season and then has a couple injuries and goes out in a playoff game, so isn't the champ, or somebody that goes into the playoffs under 500 and then becomes a champ?
I think someone who's working the waiver wire and doing the research and grabbing McLaurin when no one's touching them, grabbing Lamar Jackson when no one's touching them, grabbing A.J. Brown when no one's touching them, and all of a sudden 3 weeks in a row, you're dropping hamburgers on everybody. I think that's pretty impressive. It can go either way. I mean, someone who goes undefeated the whole time because they just had that good of a team, they deserve to win. I think it goes both ways.
All right, so we'll see. Hopefully this doesn't become much of an issue. Hopefully we actually get through the entire season one way or another, but it will obviously be better to talk about it before the season ends, because then there'll be much stronger opinions if the season ends and we've got just a couple of top teams. So we'll have to see how that goes. Okay, so similar question to last week. I thought it would be good to get some more opinions Keith, is he really clueless, or does he play it up? Hoffman?
I have a note, drunken samurai question mark. Like, I don't know if it's a skit, like is he just has this kind of ooh, and then he's coming out hand chopping, or I just he's the way he plays fantasy is like someone who just grabs anything out of the fridge and eats it without looking at the expiration date. Like he's not checking stuff, so I can't tell if it's a game or if Keith's just very busy.
Okay, fair point. Could be either one. Billy?
I think he's brilliant, and he's the Eeyore of fantasy football. He's like, well, I'm gonna lose anyways, so it doesn't matter. Ugh, no one else can complain because I have it the way. And then if he loses, it's like, oh, it's Keith. And if he wins, it's like, oh my goodness, wow, amazing! Like out of nowhere came this underdog. Because let me give you an example.
Hang on,
I
I feel like you just described Joey.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
go ahead, give me the example.
So the example I have is from Sunday morning when Keith said, when the whole talk about Harrison and Joey were going back and forth about COVID and stuff. And Keith said, I don't feel bad for anyone. I have to bench Julio Jones, even though he might play Monday night because it's a Monday night game and wouldn't be able to sub for him. But guess who was in his lineup Monday night? So, you can just throw out these like, oh, poor me, complain. But then he's like doing his stuff and checking his, notifications and his updates. So he's not clueless. He's definitely just trying to set the standards low. And then if it's a little better than that, then it looks a lot better than that. So,
Right. So he's sandbagging.
He's what?
Sandbagging.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's where I fall. I think it's definitely a skit.
Okay. This is good to know. Good to know what the rest of the league thinks and how you guys feel. So
I mean, I don't dare think he's lazy, as Joey pointed out.
We won't touch that one. That one, yeah. Anyway, okay. So topic of your choice, something that you want to talk about or bring up, Hoffman.
I just think, this is the one league I've been in the longest, surprisingly. So I think one thing I'd like to see is us really upgrade it, do the fab, add the IR slot, make it a standard to be at 10 somehow, some way, start campaigning early. It's been crazy because we had the international and then we've had this whole remote work COVID thing. So both of these last 2 years have been very difficult to set up a good league. So that's okay. But I think hopefully, next year we could definitely get it to 10. Ads, I love we went full PPR this year, right? Or no, we have not. Okay, maybe go full PPR. Just add a bunch of new stuff and let's just kind of shake it up.
I like it. I like what you're saying. That's good. Billy?
That was my main thought too, is like for all the members to start thinking now about maybe somebody they could ask if they want to join next year, because this like 2 days before trying to come up with some and I know it's weird because we didn't know if there was going to be a season and there's a pandemic going on, but I would like to have 10 if not 12 teams next year, if possible. Like high quality teams is not always easy either. You can get a lot of players, but to have them actually care and take a little bit of time each week for their lineup is important. My other thought I wanted to bring up was, and it kind of came up last night, I think, in the WhatsApp, is that I don't think we've fully taken advantage of the Joey team name situation, and I don't think it has to just be on Harrison. Like he kind of has the privilege of doing that or maybe making the final approval, but I think we could all give him suggestions at any time because each week we can have a new team name. So I would like to revisit too, the Eeyore thing and Joey versus Keith. So with Joey, he's definitely like, oh man, I can't, but he's never like, well, what's the point? He goes above and beyond to try to change things, maybe to his detriment sometimes. But he's kind of playing that defeatist card, but he's always trying to do things to make it better. So.
The Joey spiral makes my weekend.
Yeah,
he's the most optimistic defeatist I've ever met. It's a wonderful thing.
I live for it.
I enjoy it. Okay, so I guess one of the takeaways is Hoffman, you are okay for some suggestions, either in the group chat or even off to the side for Joey team names.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. I think
All
we
right,
should.
so let's,
Yeah, I definitely think that's been a wasted opportunity. We should continue the Joey fun.
I like it.
Could really get him. I like that idea, Billy.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right, sounds good. So our last topic here before we go, is there any benefit to being the commissioner of a fantasy football league? I'd like your thoughts. And Billy, I'll even give you the opportunity to go first this time on this last question.
Oh my goodness. See? Well, as commish, you were able to use your authority to make that choice. So that's one right there. But you have this ability to wear this sweet shirt, you know, as we see right there. Yeah, that's a pretty good option. I also, you know, hypothetically, of course, not you yourself, Adam, but if a commissioner wanted to you know, abuse his power, he could do things and say things like this, just say, are you trying to get booted from the league? Question mark, question mark. And then later saying something like, I'm saying you're on thin ice. So to be able to have that power is pretty cool. You know, you can really push around, but I'm not sure if it's like Zoom and having to do host and co-host duties, but I think it's interesting to maybe have co-commissioners. So you have maybe two, not only to share responsibilities, but also kind of share that like load and judgment from the other members. Like, why don't we make this change? Or it just kind of, maybe some things don't have to go to a league vote. Maybe it could be, we trust the two commissioners together to come to a decision on something, just to make it a little simpler on the commissioner.
I got you. Interesting thoughts. Let me ask you this: when you talk about having the power to make those statements, is there any power behind following through on either of those statements in our league in particular?
Well, probably not mid-season, but I think after season, you could be pretty persuasive to boot somebody out. The commish.
I love the things you're saying. Were you here when I offered the first round pick to Keith?
Was that when Joey ended up taking it?
No. I'll get to that, but that was a really good example of not having any real power. I mean, it's been several years ago. It's not like it just happened, but that was a great example of having zero power, really, when it comes down to some things. But okay, Hoffman, what do you think?
Well, he snatched my my answer. I was going to say you got your own T-shirt, so that's, you know, that's one thing I don't have. But you got, kind of like El Guapo, you know, you want the power, you take the power, you know. So just you're the commish, man.
So the benefit is
you just start exerting authority and destroying all. Just
okay.
Let's go dictatorship.
I like
They're
it.
like vetoing all trades.
Yeah.
Just like,
nope.
I do like that idea.
I don't like the roster lineup.
All right, I like this. Side point: do you also think that the champion should have some benefits the next year beyond just maybe renaming a team, or is that maybe our dipping our toe in the water to the champion having some benefits to the next season?
yeah, because I do think like naming the last place team is kind of arbitrary who's in last, so it's only really affecting one team that way. We all benefit from funny names, but I think setting the draft order would be fun if we stick with snake, you know, draft and don't go to auction someday, which I don't think we will.
I think that could really frustrate a lot of people if they set the draft order. I
Yeah,
say
but-
just the COVID thing. There's certain things I feel like we need to mirror the NFL as close as possible, just from a level playing field. So whether it is always random or whether it's by season rank, where you are letting those last place teams draft early and those high ranked teams draft late, to maybe see if you can create some parity there. That could be interesting.
Okay. Any final words to the league or to each other before we head out?
It's been fun.
Now you're quiet.
In a year of craziness, this has been a nice respite, you know, here and there, being able to just look at some trash talk on the app or set your lineup. It's a nice escapism for a few minutes each week. So yeah, it's been nice.
Makes it feel just a little bit like normal.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like it. It's been good. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and it's been fun playing with everyone. And then WhatsApp makes it nice being connected like that for sure.
There you go. Shout out to John for starting that up a couple years ago. That was a good idea. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen.